If you're new to Siege or stuck in a low rank, struggling to rank up, I'm here to tell you that 80% of your success comes down to just 3 things. And it's not fancy movement, quick peeking, or even good aim. And in this video, I'm going to teach you what those 3 things are and how to get better at each. Before we get started, I post videos twice a week, so if you're into Siege and want to get better like I do, subscribe to my channel. Now let's get into it. The first factor that accounts for 80% of your success in Siege as a new or low-ranked player is map knowledge. And before I teach you the most quick, efficient way to learn maps in Siege, let's talk about why map knowledge is so important. Map knowledge is important because it's the difference between wandering through a map aimlessly and moving through a map with intent and a plan. The second reason that map knowledge is so important is because it will actually unlock Operator's utility for you. Once you understand a map and the flow of a map, it becomes very clear when, where, and how to use an Operator's utility to your full advantage. And perhaps most importantly, map knowledge simplifies Siege. You have enough to pay attention to as is in the middle of a game, and the faster that you can memorize a map, the quicker that you can start focusing on things that actually matter and are going to win you games. So now I'm going to teach you how I went about learning maps when I first started playing Siege. While it's true that you will eventually learn the maps just by playing Siege, that's very slow and inefficient, and there's no reason it needs to take that long. You're much better off just doing one of the 2 methods that I'm about to teach you. Here's method number 1. You're going to want to go to playlists, and you're going to want to create a custom game all by yourself. Make it local, pick a map that you want to learn. In this case, we're going to go back to Bank, and then this is important, create it as a spectator. When you start a game as a spectator, it should look something like this. You'll get a free moving camera that gets a bird's eye view of the entire map. And there are a few things that you can do in this mode that are very unique and helpful for learning maps. And the first is that you can divide the map by its individual floor and look at it from above. This is a perspective that you don't normally get in Siege that you should take full advantage of. Even if you think you know a map, this can still be helpful because you never get to see maps from this perspective. I highly recommend that you do this at least once for every single map, even if you think that you know them. The second thing that you should take advantage of in this mode, rather than splitting it up by floor where it kind of locks your camera in, is that you can actually detach your camera and move around freely. What's nice about this is that you can clip through walls, you can move around very quickly, you can even go through the floors, and you can really take in the map from a different perspective, a perspective that more so is going to resemble what you see when you're actually in the game. And this just in general is a really good way to get oriented because it's so fast, it's so low stress, and you can spend as much time as you want in the map just exploring it. Again, even if you think you know the maps, I highly suggest that you do this because this is unique and it gives you perspectives that you don't normally get in games. Let's talk about the second method. For the second method, you're going to want to go down to playlists, training, and then target drill. Pick the map that you want to learn, and then you're going to need to choose to be either an attacker or defender, and it doesn't matter, but you need to pick an operator with high destructive capacity, someone like Sledge or Tachanka. Once you're in the map, either as Sledge, Tachanka, or an operator of your choosing, the whole point is to just exist in the map. Throw on some music, a podcast, or even one of my videos, and just work your way through the map. Really take it in from the perspective that you would be in when you're actually in a game. What's also nice is that in target practice mode, the game actually populates the map with dummies. And the dummy placement isn't random, it's actually placed using real player data based on where people are likely to be in real games. So not only can you orient yourself to a map's layout, but you can also start getting familiar with where people are likely to be when you're in real games. Lastly, I said that you should pick Tachanka or Sledge for the destructive capacity because of how useful it is to just work through this map and break as many things as possible. You can really get a good idea of how rooms are lined up and what's behind all of these soft walls and what walls are soft when you can just go through the map without any pressure and break as many things as possible. I highly recommend it, and I promise you'll learn maps very, very quickly if you do this. Let's move on to the second part of the video. The second factor that accounts for 80% of your success in Siege as a new or low-ranked player is what I'm going to call good gunplay habits. By this I mean habits or ways that you play the game that immediately put you in an advantage towards your enemies. This is important because Siege has a very fast time to kill. A lot of gunfights are won or lost within fractions of a second, so anything that you can do to reduce the reaction time or time that you engage an enemy is absolutely vital. And we're going to talk about 4 good gunplay habits today. The first good gunplay habit that we should talk about is good crosshair placement. which by this I generally mean keeping your crosshair pointed in the direction that you expect enemies to come from. If you've already cleared an area, there's no reason for you to continue to look or keep your crosshair in that direction. Let's say, for example, that I've already cleared this corner. Why would I keep my crosshair pointed anywhere near over here if I'm expecting enemies to swing from the bathroom, the bedroom, or this door? Swinging from here to here, here, or here takes a very long time. What you need to do is get into the habit of being mindful of where you're pointing your crosshairs at all times. Keep it in the direction that you expect enemies to be in. The second habit that you need to get into is aiming at head level as often as possible. The first step of this is knowing exactly where head level is. This has been pointed out in a ton of different videos, so I'm not going to spend very much time on it, but if you were to look at a reinforced door, there are two buckles on the side of the door. There's a low buckle and there's a high buckle. This high buckle is at exactly head level. This is just going to visually give you something to reference to let you know exactly what's head level. The reason that aiming head level is so important is, again, that Siege is a one-shot headshot game, and gunfights are won and lost in fractions of a second. So you want to get into the habit of getting headshots as soon as they're available. You will win a lot more headshots. Just by doing the simple thing, your KD is going to improve, I guarantee it. The next habit that you need to get in is not running full clip. Sound in Siege is very, very important, and when you're walking through a map with your joystick pushed all the way forward, you're making a ton of noise. And this is how most people move through the map. But the habit that you need to get into is to start only pushing your joystick about 2/3 of the way forward. This is going to reduce the noise that you make by something like half. And you're going to be sneaking up on a lot more enemies, you're going to be giving away your position a lot less often, and thus you're going to win a lot more of your gunfights, because you're going to have the element of surprise. The fourth and final good gunplay habit that we're discussing in this video has to do with how you move through maps. Particularly, it's leaning and flowing through a map. If you look through this video, I'm likely doing this already, and this is a habit that you also need to get into. When you're moving through maps, you just need to get used to leaning in the way that makes you as small of a target as humanly possible. Just to explain it for the few of you that don't understand, let's say that there's an enemy on that one ping and I'm swinging this door to the left. If I don't lean at all, by the time I see him, he can see me in my entirety. He can see my entire body. If I'm leaning to the right when I'm swinging left, then the first thing that he sees is my head. I'm a much smaller target. Conversely, if I was to try to swing this corner and I'm leaning the wrong direction, he can see my ass before I even get to see him. So he sees me before I see him. So you just need to get into the habit of leaning the correct direction while you're moving through a map. Let's talk about how you can start practicing and refining these good gunplay habits so that you can start winning more rounds and playing Siege better. What you're going to do is you're going to go back into target practice, set yourself up with some dummies, and pick a map that you don't know very well so you can kill two birds with one stone. And then you're just going to go through the map and you're going to flow. You're going to flow through the map paying attention to those four things that we talked about. 1, keeping your crosshair in the correct direction. 2, keeping it at head level. 3, leaning in the correct direction when you're peeking corners. And 4, not running full clip. Go at 3/4 speed and get really good at just working your way through a map until you start leaning organically and naturally and you're not even thinking about it anymore. And you're in a habit of not running as fast as possible whenever you're moving through a map. If you want to get specific practice on getting headshots, here's what I suggest that you do. This helped me out a ton when I first started playing Siege. If you push the center button in this mode, it red pings the dummies, just like this, so that you can see where the dummies are. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna find a dummy that's behind a soft wall, and you're gonna line up your crosshair, and you're going to guess where you think his head is. And you're gonna shoot one time. What this is gonna do is this is gonna train you to instinctively know where the dummies' heads are without having to see them. This dummy, he's crouching, but this is still useful. Let's see if this door is in the way. Head right there. And you're just gonna do this repeatedly, right? This is super, super useful. I don't think I've ever heard anybody mention this as a method. We know that he's crouching. Where do we think his head's gonna be? It's right there. At first, you're gonna miss these shots a lot, but before long, what's gonna happen is that you're, most of the time, going to be able to guess where you think head level is. And then what's gonna happen is that when you're in games, even when there's no enemies on your screen, you're going to know where to aim. This is gonna train you to get more headshots. You're gonna win a lot more of your gunfights. I highly, highly suggest that you do this. let's move on to the third and final factor that might be holding you back in Siege. The third and final factor that accounts for 80% of your success as a new or low-ranked player, what it is a mindset that you bring into every game that you play. Siege is an objective-based game, and what you have to understand is that while getting kills feels really good, that's not how you win a lot of games in Siege, or at least it's not necessary to win. A big factor in being able to rank up and win your games is understanding that kills are secondary to the objective. If you're a defender, your goal should be to stay alive and waste time for the attackers. And if you're an attacker, your main goal should be planting the diffuser. Because planting the diffuser is a much more powerful tactic than just killing defenders. Because what happens is that when you plant the diffuser, what you do is you flip the script on the defenders. Suddenly, the defenders become the attackers, and the attackers are the defenders. And being in a defensive position in Siege is the most advantageous position to be in a game. If you're defending, you're more likely to win. So here's what I want you to do. And I promise that this is going to help you rank up in Siege. You're going to win a lot more of your games once you shift your focus away from chasing kills to trying to win games. I want you to practice planting the diffuser as an attacker. When you join a game, what I want you to do is take the diffuser and make the goal of that round is to just get it planted. It doesn't matter if you die, and it doesn't matter if you get a kill. I just want you to practice planting the diffuser. Hopefully what this does is kind of reset your expectations going into games, reset your perspective away from how many kills did I get, what was my KD, to am I winning, am I completing the objectives that are actually important to winning this game. If you're a defender, what I want you to do is start practicing wasting time. Pick a defender, and then see how long you can delay the attacker's ability to get into your sight. Don't worry about killing them, just see how long you can keep them out of your sight. Also see how long you can stay alive. Preferably if you're a defender, you should try to stay alive the entire round. Get used to not taking gunfights when you don't need to take gunfights, especially as a defender. Stay alive, waste time, make the attacker's job as difficult as possible. Shift your focus away from getting kills and toward winning games and playing the objective. I promise that this simple shift in your mindset is what's going to make the difference between ranking up and getting stuck. And that's it, guys. Those are the three things that account for your success as a new or low-ranked Siege player. It's having adequate map knowledge, good gunplay habits, and understanding that the mindset that you take into a game really matters, that the objective matters more than the kills. And if you learned something in this video, if you enjoyed it, leave a like. If there's something you want me to cover in future videos, leave a comment down below. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.